Whether you're a single content creator or you're just creating your content on your own, there are some tools and resources that you can be using to make it look like you're working with a team, even though you are entirely on your own creating this content. As a longtime single content creator, I have been doing this for many years, and I have found a lot of resources that allow me to level up my content without having anybody to help me. And I can do this on my own in public, on my own in my house. I can do this wherever I'm creating content. The first of which is something that went viral on TikTok 2 years after I told you about it here on the channel. It's one of my favorite things, and it is a face tracking tripod. Now, there are a lot of them out there, and they work in different ways. So I am going to link some of them down below. There are some that function with apps. So you put your phone into the device and then connect it to the app. You film through their app, and the app controls it. It does the face tracking. It does the things that you need it to do. But there are also devices that are usually a little bit cheaper that have it built right into the system. So you do not have to connect to an app. Oftentimes I find if you're connecting to an app, the quality of the camera that they're filming with is a little bit less and a little bit lacking. So I kind of like the idea of having it built into the tripod itself so that it follows you, but you can use whatever setting you want inside of your phone as you are creating this content. So I will link my favorite down below, but I really like it because it follows you around. Now, I will say with face tracking tripods, they're a little bit slow. So if you walk quickly, it'll probably lose you for a second or cut you off a little bit. It'll just look like you have a slightly less qualified human moving your phone around to film your content. So just be aware of your movements as you are creating your content. If you go slow enough, if you make sure you maintain that eye contact, if you're paying attention and you're not going too far one way or the other too quickly, you'll be absolutely fine with the content you're creating. You just have to learn a little bit on how to direct your movements to function within the functionalities of whatever face tracking tripod you are going to be using. And because we do like when our camera is tracking us as we're moving, if you have something that was stationary, you actually have the ability to change it up just a little bit inside of your editing. I use Adobe Premiere Pro, and inside of Adobe Premiere Pro, there's actually some tools that allow you to kind of track your movements and to change your movements. So if you film slightly further back, so you have a little bit of space, you're not super up close, you can actually pull in that footage, change it just a little bit, and have the pan movements inside of Adobe Premiere Pro instead of actually manually doing it with your camera. So you can do a little bit of manipulation to make it look like somebody was tracking you or something was following you along on the journey or is moving in some way. Even if you're doing stationary content, which I do sometimes, I will use like a solid colored wall behind me, and then I will have a character stand in front of that wall, and then that character is going to scoot over, and all of a sudden I have a clone version of me come in as if I had a twin. I use those functionalities inside of Adobe Premiere Pro to move the characters over, even though the camera itself did not move, even though I do not have two of me. There's not two of me standing here. And so those were all manipulated inside of how I was editing. So you can do some things inside of your editing to also level up and make it look like you had people directing your camera source. Another one that has been a game changer for me is my cameras connected to the apps from the companies that created the cameras. Now, I'm a Canon girl, so I love the Canon Connect app. I can set it up with my Canon cameras, and then from wherever I am, I can trigger my camera with my phone. So whether I am taking photos or I am taking video, I can actually set it up with my phone, have my phone next to me, and tap the buttons. And I can also tap the buttons on a timer. So if I'm taking a photo, I can tap it and I can set it to however long I am going to want that timer to go, and then I can push the phone out of camera, or I can hide it behind me and I can do the pose that I need to. I can start and stop my video when I need to from a distance, so I'm not shaking my camera, so that I'm not constantly having to run up and tap buttons on my camera and then hope that the focus hits my face. I can actually direct my camera directly from the app so that I'm able to create my content without wasting time and without potentially messing up what I am creating because it's no longer going to be focused because I was close and then further away and the whole thing. So the Canon app is fantastic, and most camera companies now have their newer cameras connected to Wi-Fi and connected to that app so that you can control them from a distance and get the content that you are going to need very easily and save a lot of time while doing it. Because I love my apps, I really lean into apps that I can use on my phone to level up my content creation. And one really easy way for me to do that is by dictating what background I'm going to have. You guys know I love to use my lights as my background when I'm in my studio space here. And all of these lights, these are just light bulbs. These are not fancy photographer lights. I am a professional photographer. I do have fancy lights, but these are literally light bulbs that I got from Walmart, Target, wherever. Cheap, easy light bulbs. They're all connected to the same app. And then I can just change the color of my video by tapping the color that I want for those light bulbs, and it will just change it behind me. So I'm not standing up and changing things. I am not resetting gels. I'm not doing a lot of those extra things that are just completely unnecessary for the content I'm creating. I can just tap, and I am done with a totally new color scheme for each video that I'm filming. In between each video, I can switch them. And then I have different backgrounds. You can even see I have dual tones right here. I've got like a darker blue and a lighter blue going on. So I can have the same colors. I can have different colors. I can have moving colors. I can actually make my background like shift colors while I'm doing things. There's a lot of functionality in this, and it saves me a lot of time because I don't have to get up. I don't have to change a lot of things. I don't have to do a lot of things. I just tap some buttons on my phone, and magically I have new looks to all of my videos that I am creating, and also works really well for my photos. But let's lean into the apps a little bit more, connected to the content that I am creating through the technology I'm using. I love to work with my GoPro. My GoPro has been really instrumental in the content that I am creating because I am able to use it by myself and control it from an app. So my GoPro is really nice because it's tiny, it's pretty sturdy. It's made for people doing action things. It's made for mountain bikers. It's made for swimmers. It's made for people who are functioning really well in life, but they're also tiny and you can connect them to different places. So I can get really high shots shooting down through trees. I can put it in the grass and run over it. I can run with it. I can dunk it in a pool and get really cool content. There's a lot that I can do with my GoPro, and because it's just one of those it's run on a card and it goes for a pretty long period of time. It's designed for video. I can literally set it down and get B-roll footage. I can put it in different places. I can have multiple versions of them. I actually have some knockoff GoPros that I have that I got last year. And so I can just set up like 5-10 cameras and get different angles of different things. And I can then splice all that together to use as B-roll footage, to use as content for my TikTok or for my Instagram or my YouTube channel. I have a lot of really cool things that I can do with that. And it's tiny, it's out of the way, it's meant to be bumped around a little bit. It's really, really a very practical way to create content. And because it's so functional, I can use it in a lot of different settings, which I really love being able to put it in water. I really love being able to do that underwater photography and videography and all the things that I do to create with the content that I am making. And so that's a really, really good one for me. And then they also have things that just like strap them to your body. So you can put it to your head, you can put it on your chest, you can strap it on your bicycle. You can do all sorts of things to be hands-free with it and to create that POV viewpoint where it's going to be like the things that you're seeing as you're doing things, or on you to create that B-roll footage. So that's a really good investment to have a small, durable camera like that, whether you're going with a GoPro or one of the knockoffs. It's really very well worth it, as long as it's quality video that it is going to be filming. And the GoPros also take photos. So if you're doing that underwater photography, you don't have to go dunking your phone or your fancy cameras. You can use your GoPro for that. Another thing that's incredibly helpful for people who are doing their content entirely on their own is drones. Drones are where it's at. We are seeing more and more people lean into drones because you can get such varied footage with it, and it can track you, it can follow you, it can do things with you without having to have somebody else guiding it. So we see a lot of influencers and a lot of content creators who are walking away from the drone and the drone is just following them. They have their phone in front of them or their controller in front of them, and they're just dictating where it's flying and where it's going. It's locking on. I actually just got a request from a company to try out their new drone, which I'm very excited about, that is self-flying. It is going to lock onto you and follow you depending on how you're programming it, but you don't have to like maintain it or pay attention to it for a hot minute. So there's really a lot of opportunities with drones. Now, I don't do drone footage as much because right now I don't have a drone that I particularly love. The ones that I've got right now are not the quality that I want. And so I am going to be doing some really cool things with drones. I'm actually intending on doing a little bit of education and licensure when it comes to drones, so I can do some bigger and better things. But I have not invested my time into that just yet. So drones are going to be really helpful, but you do have to make sure that you research the laws on that. So there are certain types of things that like anybody can do, and then there are certain types of things that you have to have an actual license to do. And so some of that requires some education, which you can do for free. You can do that on the internet. And then you take a test. If you pass the test, you get the license and you're good to go for some of the other things. There are certain locations you cannot use drones in because it's in the airspace, and there's public space and government space and all of those things that have rules and regulations. So you have to read up on these things. But if you can, get yourself to learn how to use drones, to get a good drone that has good quality video. Some of them say they do and they do not. That's the one I got. And if you have educated yourself and you've practiced with this, this can be a really, really good thing to level up your content without needing other people to help you. But it does require more effort than any of the other things that we've talked about, and a little bit more of a time and a financial investment into working with drones to create your content. But it is by far one of the best things that you can do as a single or a solo content creator. Now, if you are a single or a solo content creator, drop your questions down below. Share your tips for how you are leveling it up to make it look like you've got a team working with you, even when you don't. And follow along, because I'm going to be diving more into the world of being a single content creator and how I am working my entire business, multiple businesses, solo by myself, and managing to run all of them, to break it down for you so that you can be inspired, so that you can learn from it too, and so that you can level up what you are doing in your business to have more luxury time, more space, and less stress and overwhelm inside of your business. So drop your hangups when it comes to being a solo content creator. I will get new videos up for you, and we'll see you in the upcoming daily episodes here on the channel, helping you to make this your most profitable year ever with the least amount of stress, overwhelm, and time commitment on that quality content creation. We'll see you then.